nights waiting to go live. Waiting to go live. Welcome, everybody. I am so happy that you are here. Welcome to the Royal We Live. Now, for those of you who did not get the Facebook support group message, I did say that I'm going to be going live every night this week. And the reason I'm going live every night this week is because it's a very difficult time. Turn the music down a little bit. It's a very difficult time for a lot of people out there with all the social distancing and with all of the loneliness. Hi, Tanya. Hey, artist. Love her. So good to see you here. Quick, right there. Even when I'm about 10 minutes late, Tanya. YouTube's making this hard on people. Telling you right now, going live is not easy. There's all kinds of delays and snags. It's probably because YouTube is overwhelmed with people watching stuff right now. Now then, gonna be going live every night this week. I want to be here for you because this is a very, it's a very weird time. It's a, what the heck? I'm getting weird notifications. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. How could it not be? How could it not be? I don't know what's going on. At any rate, I'm going to be going live every night because it's such a weird time. And this is a time in which a lot of people may want to reach out to toxic family members, relatives, people who they've been spending years trying to get away from. And the reason is because it's a very difficult time. And sometimes it's easy to go back to what's familiar, even if it's a toxic relationship, just to have that person to talk to, just to feel like you're a good person and checking in on them, on and on and on. So I personally would rather have you guys contact me on a daily basis than to break your no contact and go backwards and start to try to connect with toxic people. We don't want to do that, right? It's not good. It's not healthy. It's not going to end up good at all. So, with that being said, did they change the resolution on me, D-Doll? Is that what's going on? I get weird messages up here. I don't know. I don't know what it's saying, but we're going to keep going. We're rolling anyways. I'm just happy that you all are here, but I'll figure out what I can on my end, and we will continue to roll every single night this week. So be here. Invite your, the Facebook family. Invite people who need to be here. I saw people on the Facebook support group who said, I really wish I had someone to talk to. Well, this is the opportunity. This is the community. This is when we can get here together, chat. The telephone number is right up behind me, and you can call, and we will talk. I mean, that's what this is for. This is for being here for you, right? This is an opportunity to pick up the phone, talk to somebody, and I'm going to be here every night this week. Sound good? Sound good. Right on. And so let me go ahead and say hi to some people who are coming in right now. By the way, if you're new to the Royal We, be sure to subscribe, like, hit the bell notification so you don't miss the times this week, so you don't miss when we start. And I hope you all are doing well. I'm going to go through and say hi to some people here before we get started. And Tanya, I'm so glad that you're here. The first one, it's always between Tanya and D-Doll as to who gets here first. And so it's a race. But Tanya, you got here tonight first. Artist lover. Robin, hi, how are you? Brian, it's good to see you, man. D-Doll, there you are. First to like. See, D-Doll always gets that one up by saying, hey, I'm the first to like. So, boom, boom. Good for you, D-Doll. Whoop, whoop. Jamie Nash, it's good to see you. Cheryl Stone, artist lover. Robin, how are you doing? And Squeaky79, it's good to see you. LouTuber TV, hello. Robin, Gary, Tanya, it's good that you're all here. So, like I said, the telephone number is up in the back. Feel free to call in because we're here to talk with you if you're having a difficult time right now, if you are contemplating whether or not you should contact the narcissist, whether or not you should contact toxic family members. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it tonight. Go ahead, pick up the phone, make that difficult phone call. All right. So while you're thinking of making the phone call, and I also will be answering questions and we'll be talking about subjects that you're posting on the chat as well. So I will keep my eye on the chat. What's up, Speedster Speedy? What's going on? It's good to see you. Mike Wilson. Hey, Mike, you're not, you know what? Listen, we're all in a lot of ways feeling alone, but a lot of this we've been through already, right? In fact, I saw somebody post today on the Facebook support group. I do check in on the Facebook support group, guys. I check in there every now and then, guys and gals. And I saw a pretty funny one. Somebody posted and said, wow, I can't go out. I can't see my friends. I can't do this. I can't go to the movies. I can't go out to dinner. Reminds me of being with the ex-narcissist. And I just thought that was great. I'm like, okay. So a lot of this, we're used to. This is better, this social distancing. All right. And we're prepared for the social distancing. And we need to not let the scare and the fear of what's going on cause us to break our social distancing and no contact. And I'm going to go ahead and take a call. You're live on the Royal We. We're here for you.
Kevin.
Hi.
Kevin.
Yes.
Hi. This is Artist Lover.
Hey, Artist Lover. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there.
Okay. That's good to hear.
This is one question I have, and I don't know if a lot of people have this or not, but I've even got a lot of, family members saying that this is all fake.
Yeah.
That this virus is
Right.
a lie, that,
Right.
all of you are just being fearful and scared for no reason.
Right. Right. Yeah.
What are your feelings on that?
Wow. Are you trying to put me in a corner on this one, aren't you? So,
No, not at all.
No, it's a great question. It's a great question. And let me start in answering this question. Let me start off by saying that I spent a lot of time on the side of, and obviously when you talk about narcissistic abuse, you tend to already have an awakened, opened mind. Okay, so I'm just saying this so everybody has an understanding of where I'm coming from. When you awaken to narcissistic abuse, you awaken to good and evil. You awaken to lies and manipulation. You awaken to things that may not be what they seem. And conspiracies become a big part of that. Is the earth round? Is it flat? Did we really go to the moon? Did we not? You know what I mean? And so there's all kinds of stuff. And so here we are, right smack in the middle of this epidemic. And, is there a sickness? Possibly. Are people really getting their lungs messed up and having some weird pneumonia? Possibly. I know I can only speak for myself and my family. We did experience a rather long sickness, but it was earlier than when the pandemic broke out. I don't know if you all remember, but I was sharing with you how my family was sick and I was sick, and it was a very long cold. What it felt like to me. I had never experienced anything like that, where it was that long, and I don't know what it was, but it came and it went, and thank God it didn't go further than that. So is this whole pneumonia thing something that's always been? Is it something that started earlier than what they said it started? Is it really is deadly? Are people passing away of it? Yes, but do people pass away of the normal flu too? Yes. So so there's all different sides and aspects to look at this. And so to give you a solid answer of is it real or is it fake, from my personal opinion, that's difficult to say. I'm sure there's aspects of it that are real. I'm sure there's aspects of it that are hyped. I'm sure that there's other things going on behind the scenes, possibly, that it's not just about a flu. But again, this is coming from somebody who has an open mind towards the towards an awakened view on it. If I don't just take things for face value, you know what I mean? Even the Bible says, test all things, hold on to what is true. So in other words, look for facts. And I tend to do that. If the news tells me something, am I going to believe it right away? No. Now, if I have a personal relative, someone I know who's passing away and really fighting a bad case of this certain type of illness, absolutely. Oh, okay, it's dangerous, and but I personally don't have that close of a connection with it. So all the information that I have,
don't either.
Yeah, all the information I have is coming from the news. So
one
unfortunately,
other point I want to make. So many people are losing money. They're gonna, there might be suicidal thoughts coming with all these losses.
There could be.
Um, I was hoping that maybe you could touch on that, especially people that are lonely, that
Hmm.
are living with people that are abusive and don't find a way out. Maybe touch on how people can get around that and have faith that, they can survive this.
Right, right. I think the worst part about this whole epidemic is exactly what you're talking about. It's the suggestion that we need to be extremely careful and cautious and can't go anywhere. And it's the same type of thing. There's fear, right? And the more you watch the news, the more you hear about people who, are filling body bags in New York in the back of the truck. Okay, it's gonna make people act weird in a way,
Right.
right? I mean, I go to the store here in the Midwest, and you can just tell people are acting a little bit out of the ordinary. People's tensions are up. People are a little bit more angry. People will fight over toilet paper, So
Oh, not even eye contact.
no eye contact, right? So it does
Yeah.
something. The psychological game aspect of this is really,
Yeah.
the psychological part is really getting to people. And so to your point, this can create a lot of loneliness. It can create a lot of fear. All right. And it's important to know that all you can do in these situations is take care of yourself, right? And
Absolutely.
not to get caught up. Worry about yourself and what you have right in front of you, and try not to focus too hard on what is being told to you is happening elsewhere that may not be affecting you but can affect you psychologically. Okay, so that's one. Number two, as far as living with toxic people,
Right.
this is a difficult thing, right? But at the same time, it's no different than how it's been. Maybe you're at home more, but you don't have to be. Yes, we're on lockdown, but you can go for walks. You don't
Oh,
have to.
absolutely.
You
Yeah.
don't have to subject yourself to any toxicity or abusive behaviors. Just like you would if you were working on a daily basis. You come home, you do what you do, um, and so it can be very difficult. I understand a lot of people look forward to their time away. Uh, However, there's ways to work around it. It's not the end, right? If anything, this is a good time to put in some of the other things with dealing with toxic individuals, such as the, not gray. You can gray rock. That's one way. That's one method. You can just flat out ignore. You know what I mean? You don't have to put up or tolerate any toxicity because
Yeah.
you're in the same room, right? Keep in mind, you still have
Right.
the right to protect yourself. You still have the right to contact law enforcement if somebody's becoming overly abusive. It doesn't, epidemic or not, you have these rights to do that. And so keep these things in
Well,
mind.
I will. And Kevin, I thank you so much for your time tonight. And also, I thank you so much for being here every night for all of us
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
this
Yes,
week.
we will be here. I will be here every single night this week, right? So it's
All
for
right.
anybody who out there who is just feeling that loneliness, who wants to talk, wants to share things with the group, wants to share what's going on, do it. You know what I mean? I would rather this than a lot of people might be thinking, and I've struggled with this too. Uh, well, let's break the ice with toxic people. Maybe there's toxic family members, and maybe we should call them. This whole epidemic thing. Maybe it's the answer we need to save the relationship. No, it's not going to.
Right.
And so that's my hope is keeping people away from the idea that needs to be an excuse to reestablish
Yeah.
contact.
You can't. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't fix it.
you can't fix it. No epidemic is going to fix it.
All right. Well, I got to give up some time for somebody else
Right on. Thank
in
you for
case
calling.
somebody else wants to call. You
Yeah.
bet. Thank you.
Alrighty. Good night.
All right. Night.
Thank you for our first phone call for the night, and the phone number is available. It's right up above. And again, we're here for you. This is the opportunity. Call in and talk about whatever's going on. I know there's a lot with this whole epidemic. Now, I wanted to see if there was any questions going on in the chat right now. D reminded me, do not say the name correctly because algorithms are picking up on that on YouTube. D-Doll, she is my hand-in-hand conspiracy theorist right there. She knows what's going on. Is this Cheryl Stone asked a very good question. Is this thing from another place, or is it from us? We, at this point, who knows? Who knows, right? I like what Dee said here. The earth is flat, only in mathematical terms, not in physical structure. That's how people are being misled. Ah, interesting. Earth is flat in mathematical terms, not in physical structure. Interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. Thank you, Dee, for posting that. So I wanted the group to ask where you were. Laugh out loud. Jamie, we're here. Okay, what's up? Speed. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, so no questions as of right now. Go ahead and post your questions. You're more than welcome to. Also, you can phone in. Telephone number is right behind me. We'll chat about whatever you need to talk about. Talking about it. He's buffering an awful lot. Hopefully I'm not buffering right now. Now then, what I want to talk about also is the biblical. Somebody asked a great question. What's the biblical take on sickness? And here's the thing. So sickness and illness has always been a thing. It's not new. All right. The Bible does talk a lot about social distancing as well as sicknesses and illnesses. As a matter of fact, it goes a way prior than even Jesus. Right? How many of you know that in the Bible, in the story of the New Testament, Jesus walked around healing lots of diseases and illnesses, right? He had fevers leave people. So fevers and illnesses and sicknesses and viruses, these things called viruses, have existed, all right? What I think is interesting is that when we look back at the Levitical time, Levitical law, way before Jesus, right? There was all kinds of weird sicknesses and stuff. And here's how they dealt with it. We're going to read and we're going to talk about it because social distancing is a part of it. But there's a good reason we need to understand this social distancing and how they dealt with it and why it was so important at the time. All right. So if we look at, thank you, by the way, Dee. Thank you, Dee, for liking the background. No buffering last few minutes. Cool. All right. And like I said, feel free to call in. Your calls are a priority over what we're talking about. And so at the time of the Levitical laws and where sickness was coming into, where there was sicknesses out and about, what you have to understand how the people lived at that time. They lived in their tribes. They lived in communities. They ate together. They did everything together. They had all things in common, right? And their marriages, their couples. And so they lived in this community, all right? It's important to understand this, right? There was really no possible way for them to get sick, okay? As long as they stayed tight as a community. It's important to understand, okay? Sickness came from the outside the tribe, outside the community. And so here were the regulations. Here's what they would go through. And this is in Leviticus, right? Leviticus 14. Those of you who have a Bible, you can go ahead and read. This was interesting, right? The priest would have to go and examine the person who was sick. If it was a skin disease or any kind of virus or illness, right? The priest played the part of a doctor as well, right? They weren't like, but back then they didn't have shots and vaccine. They didn't do all that stuff. The priest would examine. It's important to understand why the priest would examine, because there's two parts. There's two different parts of illness that they viewed. One was the physical illness that can be contagious, but two, there was a sin aspect, okay? So let's go ahead and read these things, and I'll read it to you. The priest would go and examine the person who was ill, who had a virus, okay? The first thing they would have to do is get birds, kill one of the birds, have another one that's still alive, take the live bird, dip it in the blood and water of the other bird, and put some wood in there and some hyssop and all this stuff and sprinkle it on the person, right? This has to do with the sin aspect, and we'll talk about this in just a minute. But then after that, after this sprinkling of the blood on the person who was sick, this is where we get into stuff that we still do today, all right? Now then, after that, the person was to be cleansed. So they would have to leave the camp, leave the tribe, wash their clothes, shave off all their hair, shave off their eyebrows. We're talking like a complete manscaping, right? They'd have to shave everything off because illness, sickness, bacteria, viruses can live in your hair and stuff like that. This is stuff we're finding out even now, right? How many times have you washed your hands, right, and taken a bath and all this stuff, and our hands by the end of this epidemic are probably going to look like rough freaking football leather because we scrub so much, right? But that was part of what they said to do. Wash, shave everything, get rid of your hair, okay? And now make offerings, this and that. Then what they would have to do is leave for a period of 7 days. 7 days, all right? And at the end of 7 days, they'd have to do it all over again. Wash all their clothes, take their bath, shave their hair, shave their eyebrows. So an additional 7 days. So we're talking 14 days. And what's interesting is that we still today view the incubation period of an illness as 14 days. So they did that in Leviticus. That predated Jesus. So basically the priest said, you've come. So here, let me paint the picture of what happened. So physically speaking, they were sent away for 14 days. They could not come near. They had to socially distance themselves and not come near the tribe, not their wife, not their kids, nobody there for a period of 14 days, an entire incubation period, in which time they had to bathe a lot, burn their clothes, shave all their hair, shave their eyebrows, shave everything, so that every aspect of that virus or bacteria could be killed. That was the purpose of it. We still follow that 14-day incubation period today. We still do, right? Now, so it's important to understand that. So basically here, the two aspects are this. There's the sin aspect. So when the person would come to the camp and they present themselves as sick, the sin aspect, in which case they sprinkled the blood of the bird and water on them, you have to understand their understanding of illness was this. Listen, if you got sick, it's because you went outside of the camp. So it kind of sounded like this. I'm going to put it in today's terms for you. Dude comes to the tribe in Leviticus, comes to the tribe, presents himself to the priest, sick. The priest is like, where you been, dude? You left the camp? Where'd you go? Oh, you went spring breaking in Florida Beach and got involved in that weird orgy that they have, and now you're coming back to the tribe and you're bringing whatever you caught out there back to us? Oh, heck no. Okay? Come here. We're going to sprinkle you with some bird blood and some water because you messed up, man. You messed up by us. You messed up by God. You messed up by our moral values, and you got yourself sick as a result of it. This is important for us to understand. A lot of us today, with the sickness going on, a lot of us are angry and upset, and we feel miserable because we can't go out and do a lot of the stuff that perhaps we should have never really been doing anyways. Going to bars and doing all this weird stuff and hanging out with people. Again, narcissistic abuse is a result of what? Hanging out with people you have no business hanging out with, doing things you have no business doing, going places you have no business going. This has always been an issue with humanity. We venture out. The prodigal children wander out, get involved in weird stuff, come back. Sicknesses exist, viruses exist, bacteria exist, and we catch them all out there, right? And I know that it's so normal now to live a life like that. We don't even know what it's like anymore to actually live in a small, tight-knit tribe or community, right, of people where we share all things in common, right? In our experience, that becomes a very abusive, hostile environment, right? A hierarchy. But back then it wasn't. You had the priest, but that was it. Okay? So, priest said, all right, you went out, you messed up, you sinned. So we're going to cleanse you spiritually with this bird blood and this. We're going to hose you down with that, right? And you better pray. Better pray that you shake whatever it is that you had no reason to leave the community and tribe. Everything you could want is here. All the food you want. Your family's here. Your wife, your kids, everything's here. Your husband. You had no need to go outside of the community. You had no need, but you did it anyways and got yourself sick, and now you're trying to bring that back into the community. No, we're hosing you down. We're sacrificing this down for you, and we're going to pray that you get delivered, right? Because that's pretty wicked of you. Pretty wicked, pretty evil. So that's the sin aspect of it. Then as a result of that sin aspect of venturing out, doing whatever, they got the physical aspect, which is the sickness, the virus, the illness, the skin disease, right? And they didn't take that lightly either. So the priest said, now we're going to deal with your physical illness. You got to get out of here because that can be contagious to other people. Get out of the tribe. Get out of the community. Go bathe yourself every day, shave your hair off, shave your eyebrows off, burn your clothes, and do this 7 days, and then do it again. And don't come back for a period of 14 days. And he came back 14 days later. Priest would examine him. And then if he was okay, if he was better, he was allowed back into the community, but not allowed into the tent. Okay? So they eased him back to the community, but not yet back in the tent. Now, back into the community for another 14 days until he could actually get back into the tent with his close ones, his loved ones. Okay? So they took sicknesses and illnesses very seriously, even predating Jesus. They had 14-day incubation periods that they understood about illnesses. They understood the need for social distancing to stop spreading this stuff. They did. And this is back in Leviticus. I find that very, very interesting. And they had all kinds of, there's more you can read in Leviticus. They had more in the Levitical laws. You can read Leviticus 14 if you want, and read down if you want to know how they dealt with all kinds of sicknesses, skin diseases, illnesses. It tells you they were hardcore up on that, right? Western civilization, we've started to treat illnesses and sickness as no big deal. There's so many, STDs out there. There's so many weird viruses out there, and people are, I don't care. Oh, well. YOLO. You only live once. I'm going to spring break, Florida. Woo! I don't care. If I catch something, I'll catch something. If I spread it, I spread it, right? And so I believe that in a huge way, what's going on with the social distancing, it's kind of like a reset. It's kind of making it real to people. And I think that fear is in a way bringing it back home to people. Listen, sickness, illness. Listen, we gotta all stop living like nothing could ever happen to us in a way, because things can happen. Things can go wrong, right? Hope that all makes sense to you. Now I'm going to answer some questions here for those of you who have been paying attention, and you probably, I tend to ramble, so I understand if you tuned me out a long time ago and are actually watching Tiger King on Netflix right now while I'm in the background. All right, let's see some questions here. Join the Royal We. How do you handle it when the narc tries to hoover you during this epidemic, right? So this is something that is possible. The narcissist, out of their own loneliness, can try to hoover you. And this is a time where you can actually have more of a reason to not participate. How do narcissists like to hoover? They may text, they may call. You can't stop them from doing that. Hang up on them if it gets too out of control, right? Well, can I come over? I really want to see somebody. No, we're on lockdown, right? And be assertive about that. You can't come over. You can't do anything, right? Unless you are considered, what's that work-related thing? You're essential. Unless you're considered essential, you can go to and from work. But as of right now, most of these states, right, in the U.S. are on some kind of a stay-at-home order, right, except for essential work. This means that you're not supposed to be going and visiting neighbors or friends or any of that stuff. You need to stay home. So use this as your platform to say, no, you're not coming over. That's fine, right? Stand by it. So don't worry about the hoovering. Don't buy into it. And again, this is why I'm going live every single night this week, is so that you can contact me, right? If you need someone to talk to, do not allow the narcissists and toxic people to call you and lure you into some weird type of relationship. Narcissists are scared too, but that's not your problem. The toxic people in your life are scared too, but let them deal with it, right? They're not your responsibility. It's not your responsibility to save them or to help them, right? Nor will they value or appreciate you anymore if you do. They won't. It'll be back the way it was. They'll love bomb. They'll act all like everything's fantastic between you. And at some point when this is all over, they will go right back to just crapping on you, right? So we don't want to do that. Yeah. All right, next question here. The ex-narc is back, but he jokes about the virus when he comes over, like coughs at us, just realizing how immature he really is after all these years finally. Tooth doc, what I would say is first of all, why is the ex-narc even coming back over, right? We are on a suggested lockdown. There's no reason this person should even be coming over, right? And a lot of narcissists will treat this like it's not a big deal. They don't care. Again, you're talking about individuals who don't care if they're in a relationship with you and go out and have multiple relationships, right? They don't care about that. So what makes you think they're going to care about a virus? Oh, come on, it's no big deal. Come on, let's hang out, right? And so you really have to be careful about that. I would not let them over, right? Protect yourself, protect you and your household. That's what you're responsible to do. You're not responsible for them to let them in, to listen to them cry or whatever. You're not. You don't have to, right? Let's see. I did a fast yesterday, and it really wasn't even planned, just hungry. Didn't eat anything about 3 p.m. The rest of the day was highly productive. Guess I'll do it again. Right on. We're going to be live every night this week. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Share that with Blue. Share it with everybody in the group. Any more questions here? Extend summer, and if it doesn't pick up, Cheryl Stone, it's a cycle. Let's see. People are meeting up in the parking lot in their cars. They park with parking spaces. Yeah, I hear you all are talking about how people are treating what they're doing as far as how they're getting along and going out and shopping. It is kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy out there. I see people in masks. I typically I will only go to the store and then back home right now. Last week was different. I was out and about last week more, but this weekend they're stepping it up. And so it's been a while for me to take it serious as far as not really going and visiting people and doing stuff. I didn't quite understand the necessity of that, but I'm starting to understand, okay, well, I'll stay home because that's what they're telling people to do. That I get it. And I'll figure out how to go along the best I can with that. Let's see, what else here? Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some interesting things that might help you out. Some supplements I've been taking as far as this goes, and it's really been helping me out. One is cod liver oil. Another one is beef liver tablets, organic beef liver tablets. And the reason is because a lot of these, cod liver oil, beef liver tablets, they have certain vitamins and minerals that we don't typically get in our food, especially fortified foods. And I also stopped eating fortified foods. Fortified foods are very heavy in iron. And I know a lot of people say, well, we have an iron deficiency. We do not have an iron deficiency. If it is, it's not the iron. The reason we're iron deficient is because we're getting the wrong kind of iron, right? If you grind cereal and put a magnet to it, you can see shards of iron, right? That's not the type of iron. You need biodegradable iron. You need that in your body, not shards that they sand off of an iron rod, okay, and sprinkle it in your favorite cereal that we all ate as kids, right? That stuff becomes toxic. That produces a lot of iron that gets stuck in the flesh within your organs. You get a buildup and toxic levels of this iron that becomes undetectable because, again, it's not the biodegradable iron. It's iron that just gets stored in the soft tissues of your stomach, of your liver. These things start to cause problems for you health-wise. And at any rate, you want to start to get rid of these things and start to make adjustments in your diet, because the more toxic levels of things like iron fortifications, different chemicals in your body, chances are any type of weird sickness that's out there that's a little bit heavier, you're going to have a more difficult time, right? So I found that reducing fortified foods, trying your best to eat organic, right, the best you can. Things like cod liver oil, beef liver oil, vitamin C. Okay, vitamin C is a big one. However, I personally stay away from the synthetic vitamin C, like the one-a-days and stuff like that. The vitamin C that's made in a lab, right? I personally stay away from that. I go for natural or vitamin C, things that might be found in like acerola cherry powder, right? And I'll mix that in and things like that. So I just try to be conscious, have whole food type vitamins and minerals. And so far, other than having that bad cold months ago, haven't had any issues myself personally. Yeah, so thank God. And so I hope you all are staying, good and eating good. And yeah, so that's that. If D says if you get metal toxicity, use Cali cream. It has EDTA and is chelated. Chelated is an excellent thing. I'm glad D brought that up. So chelation, if you don't know what chelation is, chelating things like toxic levels of iron from your body is a process of it pulling out the iron. So D brought up this right here. If you feel like you have high levels of synthetic irons and whatever that have made your body toxic, she brought up calicrame. But there's other ways as well, right? Biodegradable copper helps regulate iron. Things like rice bran, even things of activated charcoal in ways can help pull and chelate things, like iron. Get it out of your body. Chelation is the process of it pulling it out of the body and getting it out, getting rid of it. So that's great. That's great. Any questions here? Any questions? Narcs think they're victims because they once were. Then they use that mentality to manipulate people for narc supply. Absolutely. Absolutely, Jamie Nash. That's true. Now we're bringing it back to the narcissist here. Absolutely. Narcs do think that they are narcs are always victims. I wanted to talk about this. Somebody asked in the Facebook support group, what happens when a narcissist knows that you're strong, right? So all of a sudden you step it up, you become no nonsense, you're not putting up with their stuff anymore. You start giving them ultimatums. Stop calling me names or get out. Stop doing this or get out, right? You show your strength. You cuss at me, I'm going to put you down, right? You get involved in that game going back and forth, right? This is something that we've all thought about. We've all come to this place. What happens, right? One of the things we have to realize about narcissists is we cannot just look at them as big bad bullies who only are tough and strong and hurt, okay? That's not what makes narcissism. Narcissism is always winning no matter what. So what this means is that they may not, it doesn't require them to be the big bad bully to win. How many of you have dealt with toxic narcissists in your family or friends or exes who won simply by becoming the victim suddenly? I mean, here you are dealing with this person who has been criticizing you, cussing you out, calling you names, maybe even put their hands on you. You got fed up with it, and you're like, you're done. Stay away from me. Stay off my face. And then all of a sudden, they're like, you're mean. You're rude. You're ugly. It's like you're just trying to hurt me. Why are you trying to hurt my feelings? They shifted it. They turned it around, right? Now they're the victims of you. And now you're the toxic one, okay? This is what you have to be aware of is when narcissists flip that script, when they know you're strong, right? Because now they're going to gain supply by pointing you out as being abusive, right? Happened to me. I just simply said, stop calling me names, right? And it just, they can't handle that. Somebody's telling me what to do. Oh, and so I became the bad guy, right? And that's what you have to be aware of, right? So this is why it's crazy making. This is why it makes no sense to even be involved or be in the relationship anymore. Because it's one of two ways with toxic narcissists. Either they are going to be putting you down, demeaning you, devaluing you, or they're going to make it seem like you're doing that to them, okay? Because this is their life. This is their existence. There's only a brief period in time where it seems like there is a mutual coming together, right? Where it seems like everything's okay, right? This is the idealization phase of the relationship, right? But that breaks down, and then it's someone's on top, someone's on bottom. To the narcissist, they're okay in both, being on top and being on the bottom, because both positions put them on top, right? On the bottom, they're the victim. They can't do anything, and you're a horrible person, and they get everybody to point at you and say, what a horrible, mean person. You need to change, right? On the top, you're just weak, and you can't take a joke, and you're too sensitive, and you're this and that, while they're pretending to be strong. So you just can't win. This is why, it's not, don't try to be stronger than narcissists. Try to get away from them, right? Don't engage with them. That's the goal when dealing with toxic people, is don't engage with them, period. If you have to see them, see them. Hey, how's it going? Hi, bye. Good to see you. Yeah, have a nice life. Okay, bye. Yeah, it doesn't have to get any deeper than that. Don't think that with toxic people that you're going to have some kind of amazing, hugging time where you just hug out all your differences. It just doesn't work like that, right? That's why the Royal We's here. This is a family where you're valued, appreciated. We'll all, we'll give you virtual hugs right now. No real hugs because we're on lockdown, but yeah. So at any rate, hope that makes sense to you. All right. Yeah, Cheryl Stone says they play like a fiddle. They do, because they go back and forth. All right. They do flip the script. Set your boundaries. Just always wish he was miserable. I'll never know, but I still miss him, like during this isolation. Vicky, I know it's really hard during this isolation, but think about it. You probably felt isolated even when you were in the relationship, right? So you're better off in isolation outside of it than being in isolation in it, all right? And I know that, it seems like, listen, and I've made a video of this, it seems like narcissists are doing great because that's the mask they wear on their social media. That's the mask they wear when they won you. But we all know they are miserable people. They are miserable. They will not have a better relationship than the relationship they had with you. It will be the exact same. It will, because they do not change that aspect of them, right? It will always be them fighting with somebody or somebody fighting with them. I guarantee it. They are restless people. They'll always be at odds, and people will always be at odds with them, okay? So it's important to understand that. They're not having a funner time, right? Nor did they have a better time before they met you. Their life was misery before they met you, always fighting with somebody, right? You just happen to get sucked into that horrible world. Now you're out, and you're like, wow, was it me? Was it them? They told me it was me. No, it was them. It was their world that they drug you into. All right. Mike asked, got a couple questions here. Awesome. D says, can you send a link to each live chat on the Facebook group so we can get in to the live chat quicker? D, excellent question. And I think I can do that for you. Absolutely. Mike asks, why did my mom shame me for not feeling sorry for my alcoholic dad? She's devout Catholic, but it seems she's godlike. And it's all about her image as a prestige Catholic mom. It's confusing. Why did my mom shame me for not feeling sorry for my alcoholic dad? And it sounds to me like your mom doesn't want to feel alone in her reasoning for staying with an alcoholic man. Okay, so she chose to deal with the consequences of staying in that relationship. And a lot of times people like that, they will automatically say, well, I did, so you have to as well, right? This is most narcissistic families, and I've seen this, even though they're highly dysfunctional, right? When we talk about collective narcissism in a family where there's a hierarchy, highly dysfunctional families, they're always fighting. They're at each other's throats. There's rarely peace. And if there is peace, it is very fake. It's very shallow. I've seen this in a family. It's what I left. It's what I got away from. But they always stick together. So it's highly dysfunctional, but they still come back together. And what I've noticed about them as well, these dysfunctional hierarchy narcissistic, collective narcissistic families, is that if they can find somebody else to be mad at, they can come together like a gang and gang up on that one person. That was me coming and stepping into a hierarchy dysfunctional type family. Then when I left, and when you leave, and eventually you'll leave, it'll drive you out because you're always the bad guy and you're wondering why. You walk in, you say hi, you want to get along, you want to be friends, you want to be nice, but you're always the bad person. And so you leave. Well, now they're back to being at each other's throats because you're gone. See, they're constantly, that dysfunctional is always real. But part of narcissism is that you have to be okay with that, right? If you're not okay with the dysfunction, then you're the bad guy. So if you're there, you're not okay with the dysfunction, you're not playing along with the dysfunction, then you're the bad person. So in this case, your mom would shame you because you're not playing along with the dysfunction and the alcoholism, and you're not okay with it. And so you become the bad person instead of the alcoholic dad, who is really the bad one, right? He's the one that's got the problem, not you. You're not the alcoholic. The dad is, right? And so it doesn't make sense. This is where it can get confusing because you want to say, hey, listen, why are you treating me like I'm the one that is the alcoholic? Like I'm the one that's messing up. Why don't you point that anger where it belongs? And that was my question with this family. Listen, you all, why don't you point your anger where it belongs, at your real hurt in life? Why are you using me? Well, because at some point in that narcissistic family, they learned that they're at each other's throats, but it goes nowhere, being at each other's throats, because they're all narcissistic. So they get more supply out of watching somebody else suffer, right? Who's not really the problem. Hope that makes sense to you. All right. Tooth Doc says, why does my ex-narc despise his family, his kids, and only wants to get close to me? Very interesting. Tooth Doc, I would probably say that you are a greater source of supply than even the kids, right? I've seen Sam Vaknin. I don't know if you all know who Sam Vaknin is, and he put this harsh reality out there. He's a self-proclaimed narcissist. He wrote a book about it. But he put it this way. It doesn't matter kids, family, whatever. Narcissists are after the supply, okay? So if the kids are making the narcissist feel like he's amazing, best dad in the world, blah, 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 then he'll be all about the kids, right? But little kids aren't really like that. Kids require a lot of attention. They need a lot of attention. Narcissists aren't really down to give them attention. Narcissists want to have the attention. So when he visits you, you probably give him that attention, right? And without getting too detailed about your relationship and what you do, but that to a narcissist takes priority, even over his own family and kids, right? So it's important for you to understand that, because narcissists, they don't look at love and responsibility the way you and I do. They look at, how can I get my needs met? How can I get what I want, right? So important for you to understand. All right. They thrive in chaos. So narcs will create conflict. They attempt to try and fix it and then take credit. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Yep. All right. No other questions here. 32 years. Right on. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. We've got time for a few more questions. Yeah. If you have any final questions, any final thoughts, go ahead and post them on. If not, like I said, we will be here tomorrow night, same time, 9 o'clock p.m., Central Standard Time. I'm going to work tomorrow morning. I'm going to make links and to put all the stuff up in place where it needs to be. D, Tanya, Blue, whoever, feel free to get involved. Let me know how the links, how it works, if it's working, if it's coming up on the Facebook thing, if not. So I'll count on you to let me know. I'll share it on Instagram as well, and just get the word out there, right? So people who need someone to talk to, people need a community, especially people are struggling right now. I visited the Facebook support group page, and I saw a lot of people saying, I wish I had someone to talk to. I wish I had someone to talk to. This is it. So get them here. Let's chat every night, 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. That's what we're here for. All right. Last question here from Vicky Welly. Oh, well, we got two questions. Then we'll end this. Vicky, how do you really trust again? Vicky, very, very, very important question. And the answer is you don't. You don't, right? The simple answer is you don't, but it's not as simple as that. The first thing you have to understand, Vicky, is that you need to take a real hard look at what your understanding of the word trust is, okay? Where it came from. Is it even something we're supposed to do? Because what does trust say? And I challenge you, Vicky, to look up the word trust and what does trust say? Basically, if I could define trust for you, I know there's one definition of it that we see, but here's what trust really looks like. I'm giving you control over my mental, emotional, physical well-being. That's what we're saying when we say I trust you. I'm giving over control of my physical, mental, and emotional well-being, right? We know that in the Bible, biblical aspect, Jesus, it's written, Jesus had no trust in humanity, none. He said, Jesus having no trust in humanity because he knew the hearts of mankind. So he did not entrust himself to people. We, as a Western culture, developed this really weird thing, this kind of a diluted word called trust. It's kind of like love. What does love mean? Well, it can mean anything you want it to mean, right? Abusive people say they love, but they don't, right? They hit, scream, yell, shout, and they call that love. It's not. Trust is another word that just kind of ran rampant, and we started to buy into this idea that, well, we just give over all of our power to someone else. I trust you. No. So that's part of the change coming out of narcissistic abuse. When you feel like you no longer trust people, that's kind of your awakening. That's the new you. That's the stronger you. That's the you that says, listen, nobody's going to look out for my life better than me. It doesn't matter how much they tell you they love you. It doesn't matter how good the sex is. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff. No one's going to watch out for you as good as you. And so you got to reel in that trust. Okay, what am I doing with this trust? And instead of trust, you build a life of agreements. Okay, I will do this and be this as a person. You are going to do this and be this. If we're going to have a relationship, there's going to be equality. There's going to be mutualness. We got to stop this this thing of, well, I'm going to be this for you because I trust that you will be that back to me later on. No, we learned from narcissistic abuse that it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. So we got to get rid of a lot of the trust that we do. Obviously, there's situations, if you have surgery and you're put to sleep, you're in the hands of people who, you have to have a certain level of trust. However, you can go into the situation knowing everything you can about. You can get second opinions, third opinions. So in a way, you can take control, right, before you make the decision to do what you need to do and maybe have surgery. So even still, it's not trust. It's you doing research and then making the decision to do something, to go through a procedure, knowing the possible outcomes could be good, could be bad. So even that's not trust. That's you making a decision. And this is how we need to live our lives. Hope that makes sense. All right. All right. I think Tanya's kicking me off. She went do. And she wants to hear the song. All right. Yeah. Tanya, you kicking me off, girl? Tanya's All right. There's one more question. Mike asked, some flying monkeys are contacting me now that didn't care when I was hurt by the narc. I think some don't know they're flying monkeys, though, so I don't know. Ignore them. Doot. All right, here we go. Music. Cue the music because D and Tanya are saying, Kevin, get off of it because we want to go to bed. Here we go. So be sure, if you can, you're here, like, subscribe, and tell the people you know, hey, 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, we're getting together. We're talking about the issues, narcissists, toxic people, how to deal with them amongst this epidemic, right? And we'll talk about other stuff too. Whatever it is you want to talk about here on the Royal We, as a Royal We family, let's bring it to the table. Nothing is too out there for this community, I guarantee you. So be here tomorrow night, 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Until then, we will be safe, right? All right, have a great night, everybody. Doot.